And it is the Saturday Coffee Klatch with Heather Lofthouse and yours truly, Robert Reich. We are just about, tomorrow will be 100 days, Heather, before the election of 2024.
Here we go.
And it's extraordinary what a difference a week makes.
Truly.
So what's on our agenda today?
Let's talk about Vice President Kamala Harris's extraordinary first week as the presumptive presidential candidate.
I feel so much better than I did. I mean, the last time we were together,
I know.
Last week, we were tearing our hair out.
I know.
About
you and a lot of others and a lot of young people on social media, which we'll talk about, the memification of Kamala Harris. Also, let's see what's happening with J.D. Vance and Donald Trump.
Do we have to talk about them?
We do. And then also, where are the billionaires these days and who are they lining up behind? And what are they saying?
Yeah, I don't even like any. I don't know any billionaires. I don't like the ones I do know. Well, that's inconsistent, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So in terms of the first week, I was absolutely amazed at how fast Kamala Harris and her team got off and running. I mean, it's just
her team, which was also the Biden campaign team, right? So.
Yes, well, there's a merger of the two teams. Yep. Now, I've been around politics for 300 years, so I have seen how teams kind of have a hard time working together because even though the president and vice president are in the same party and on the same ticket, there's always a little tension in terms of personalities. But these people came together, and within one day, Heather,
I know, didn't miss a beat.
And think of it's almost as if a dam burst. I mean, the amount of energy that the Democrats have and Kamala Harris has,
right.
And she spoke to at least, I don't know how many, 10 officials an hour. She was moving through the telephone.
I know. On MSNBC, everyone kept saying, well, she called me and she called me, every guest I saw on it.
And she also managed to get, within about 36 hours, all of the delegates she needed and needs to be proclaimed the next presidential candidate.
And a whole lot of money.
And a lot of money raised, and a lot of it's small donations, not the big guys.
And new donors.
And new donors.
Yeah.
This is really remarkable.
Now, this is what I think people had hoped for, right? When they were looking at what was happening and what the polls were saying, they were hoping that if President Joe Biden passed the torch, that there would be this upswell, this euphoria, young people, women like this, and that Trump would be shaken in his boots.
Well, nobody expected as fast a response. I mean, I think that some people I talked to, said, well, Kamala Harris is the obvious one, but there are a lot of other potential candidates. Maybe we ought to slow down and just see and maybe have a little bit of an open convention, or maybe there ought to be a kind of a beauty pageant where, a variety of potentially other candidates can come forth.
We have tons of time.
We have a lot of time. Well, the fact is there is no tons of time.
Right.
I mean, 100 days tomorrow until the election itself. The Democratic
and early voting is happening soon.
Early voting is happening very soon, and in a lot of states. And you've got the Democratic convention coming up, but more to the point, the Republicans came out of their convention with a lot of energy.
Yep.
And there was just no time. There is no time.
And the internet blew up, really. And so
for Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm. The memification. So all these interesting. We can play one later, maybe if we feel like it. But so all these popular.
I feel like it.
Okay, good. All these popular songs that are now being used in videos for her, and they've been hugely positive. They've been dominating TikTok. And I mean, it's interesting. It's basically free political advertising. It's all organic. It's just people making videos and people liking them, and they get into the vortex.
And social media. I mean, this is where the age issue becomes very important, because social media, young people are not only for Kamala Harris overwhelmingly, but they're also hearing other young people for Kamala Harris overwhelmingly on social media. But at the same time, we know that in the first 3 days, Biden, because the Biden campaign didn't, you scheduled campaign ads. Mm-hmm. We're talking now about the formal media, the TV and cable. You schedule those ads weeks and weeks ahead. So the Biden campaign had to withdraw all of those ads. The Kamala Harris campaign couldn't put the ads on nearly fast enough. There's still issues about taking the money from one campaign and using it for the other campaign. And so Trump was outspending on traditional media, TV and cable, Kamala Harris by 25-1.
Yeah.
In the first, really the first part of this week.
Which, again, is understandable because there's a lag time. I mean, you got to kind of catch up.
Yes, but it does really, I think, reveal the kind of striation with regard to the age. I think older voters, what they are hearing and seeing is a lot of anti-Kamala Harris, anti-Biden administration, Biden-Harris administration ads. The kids, the younger voters are all hearing and seeing a lot of pro-Kamala Harris.
On average. And that's because of the organic stuff that's floating around. And then on social media, you can get your ads out much faster. So Kamala HQ, right? It went from Biden HQ to Kamala HQ using her first name. And so, yeah, they were all over the place on social.
But there's this issue of energy. I want to just spend a moment on it because politics really is about momentum and energy. And suddenly, faster than I ever expected, the momentum and energy is on her side. This is the first week I remember that was not dominated by Donald Trump.
I was going to say, you know who is not liking this?
I mean, Donald Trump has sucked the oxygen out of every week in terms of either saying something ludicrous or saying something that everybody got excited about or that liberals got angry about. But Donald Trump disappeared.
Yep. Or his indictments, by the way. And
or his indictments.
Convictions.
But he was not the lead story this week.
I know.
And I think in terms of, again, energy and momentum, this is a huge deal.
Yep. Can we talk about who Kamala Harris might pick as her vice president?
Well, this is the next chapter, the next drama. And
Done. And it's got to be soon, right?
It's got to be very soon. There are a lot of candidates. What's interesting to me is that suddenly the Democratic backbench reveals itself. I mean, everybody was saying just a week ago, well, there's no replacement. There's nobody. The Democratic Party doesn't have young people, doesn't have people who are in their 30s and 40s and 50s to take over the mantle. And not only do you have Kamala Harris, but you have all of these potential vice presidential candidates with her. And it's really quite an impressive group.
Right. And we have to decide, Ohio's coming up soon, right? So we think we'll hear.
Well, the Ohio primary, you've got to get on the ballot. You've got to be by the 7th of August. This decision has to be made.
Right.
So we're talking about a matter of what, hours?
Right.
Days?
Yep.
And the people who are being vetted.
Yes.
Now, vetting. What does that mean? That means the FBI is looking at you. The campaign is looking at you. Are there any skeletons in your closet?
Definitely.
Are there any?
I mean, show me someone who has no skeletons, please.
I have no skeletons.
No, you would
never. I would never. No,
have a skeleton.
Forget it. You, however,
I have like 3.
Well, get rid of them.
little.
You can get rid of those skeletons. I know them all.
No, but so let's talk about it. So we have you've been writing about Mark Kelly.
Yeah, Mark Kelly. To me, I mean, part of full disclosure, I know him and Gabby Giffords, his wife.
That's right.
I think he would be a terrific candidate. He is a U.S. senator from Arizona. He was a former astronaut, a Navy pilot. His parents were both police officers. On issues of gun control, I mean, issues that America cares about. Gabby Giffords being shot made her and her husband, Mark Kelly, into major advocates of gun regulation, gun control. He's in Arizona, a key state, a key swing state, a border state. He knows more about what's going on at the border, as does Gabby Giffords than almost anybody.
Right.
So I think it's a natural.
Now, he's gotten a little flack for some flip-flopping on labor-related stuff.
Yes, but I would know. I was labor secretary.
Yeah.
I know that stuff. I know his position. I'm very comfortable where he is on labor. But so I'm a big Mark Kelly fan.
Okay, who else have we got? Josh Shapiro. Let's just list him out.
Yeah, Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, has a very good reputation. Doesn't have a national reputation like Mark Kelly.
No, right.
And he doesn't have much of a record on the national stage as a result. But he has very, very high marks. People like him a lot.
How about Andy Beshear?
Andy Beshear, a governor of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Well, Kentucky is not exactly a swing state. It's close to the swing states, but
And it's a red state, which
and
is
it's a red
interesting.
state. But it's not as if Andy Beshear gives the ticket that much, because Kentucky's going to stay a red state.
Right.
I think he is also very, very attractive. People speak highly of him as a young, and he's a very, very young and very, very attractive candidate.
What about Roy Cooper, North Carolina?
Roy Cooper, I think also the reason he's among the four big ones is that people are very excited about him. He's done a very good job in North Carolina. North Carolina is a swing state, and he is considered to be an up-and-coming young governor on a lot of issues. I mean, these governors, particularly the governors in Kentucky and in North Carolina, what they've done is they've taken on red state legislatures on issues like abortion or gun control, and they haven't. It's not that they've flipped them, but they've contained
Right.
some of this red state craziness.
Right. And then Tim Walz.
Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, was not on everybody's list initially,
Right.
because although he's only 60 years old, he looks about 70. Now,
Careful.
that was an ageist thing I
Yeah,
just said.
careful.
I'm 78. I can say that.
Can you?
But he's very articulate. He's very, very. I heard an interview with him recently. He's very, very tough, very good on this political stuff.
Well, we shall see, but we're pretty sure it's going to be one of these people. They're
I think
being
it's
vetted.
going to be. I
There
doubt
won't be a
it's going
wild
to
card.
be. Well, Gretchen Whitmer has a great governor of Michigan, has a great reputation, but frankly, Heather, I can't see. I would like to be able to see a Democratic ticket with two
Right.
women, but can you see that?
I mean, I don't think it would be the wisest move, knowing our electorate.
Well, knowing the electorate.
Also, Whitmer said she's not doing it. So.
Well, I think she's saying she's not doing it because of that.
Yeah.
Pete Buttigieg gets high marks. A lot of people love him.
Yeah.
But frankly, again, it's very hard to see, given you have the head of the ticket,
Right.
a black, a woman of color, woman of color.
Right.
This is expecting a lot from the American electorate as it is.
Yeah. So Kamala has been endorsed by who this week?
Everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody.
Olivia Rodrigo, who's a pop star. Teachers. I mean, it runs the gamut.
Well, all the politicians finally came around, the Democratic politicians. I was worried a little bit, but, the big hero, it turns out, of the week is none other than Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi is the person who made the deal. I mean, she is the quintessential talented backroom, not in a negative way. I'm using the backroom in a positive way.
Yep.
Politician. She's the whisperer. She got Joe Biden to agree to step down. She got the Democrats to agree to endorse Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
She really is a champion.
And President Biden's speech on whenever it was, Wednesday night,
yeah.
what do you think of it?
I thought it was exactly what he needed to do. It was only 11 minutes. It made me sad, because here's a man who has had to face his limits, his limitations, his decline, and the fact that he just can't do the job anymore.
Well,
And
he can do the job currently.
Well, he
He's
can
not
do
gonna
it,
run again.
and he will finish his term,
Right.
and he certainly has enough in his kind of memory bank and his capacity to finish the term, but he could not do another term of office. I think that's the main takeaway. And I thought he was gracious. Mm-hmm. He was gracious last Sunday when he bowed out. He's been extraordinary. When he called into the campaign headquarters, that's really when it got to me. When Kamala Harris was there in campaign headquarters in Delaware, talking to people, giving them a pep talk, and he calls in and he has COVID, and he says, that's the way to go, and calls her kid.
Yep.
I was touched.
It was very touching. He was on speakerphone, and she was, reacting to him and very authentic. And there was love. The word love was used multiple times.
Well, I think they are not scared of using that word, and I think it's genuine. Mm-hmm. Now, how about Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
Speaking of
a
genuine,
lot of love
speaking
between
of genuine,
them.
yeah, it's been so fascinating. So that pick, do you think? I mean, we've heard a little bit this week. Was J.D. Vance the right pick? The answer is no. But was it the right pick for them for the reasons they thought they were getting him?
No, I don't think so.
It's interesting.
I think they thought they were going to get, well, number one, a young person. Yes, they got somebody who's half the age of, literally, exactly half the age of Donald Trump. They also wanted to get somebody who would be reinforcing the base, the message to the base.
And that seems like what he does. I don't see any new people heading their way.
No,
because
he's not
of him.
attracting anybody who's not already MAGA. He is sort of MAGA plus, MAGA on steroids. And that is a problem for them. I mean, how are they going to attract women?
Hopefully they
don't. The entire, as we talked about before, the entire Republican convention was a kind of macho MAGA man, tough wrestling, Hulk. It turns out that with Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket, this is a mistake because of how many more voters are there in America who are women?
3 million.
3 million. And I think they're going to be out in great force.
Oh, I think so too. And suburban women matter in swing states, and this is going to be big. Yeah. So J.D. Vance, it made sense, I think, in their mindset where they thought they were going to trounce Biden. But this is interesting to watch. Whoopsie. Well, they're stuck with him.
It's particularly interesting because Kamala Harris in her first week, the themes that she has been using. I am a prosecutor, she says, and I'm used to dealing with people who have abused women and have broken the law and are, felons and have cheated.
I know his type.
I know his type.
Keeps saying.
And this is really ingenious. And then she can move on to. She hasn't yet, but she can move on to women's rights over their bodies. It gives her a really strong platform. In which she has a great deal of credibility.
And J.D. Vance, all these quotes he's been saying that are coming out that are truly horrific, that say things like, childless cat women out there.
He called her a childless cat lady.
Yeah.
I mean, what kind of... This is the Republicans. I mean, these two Republicans, Trump and Vance, let's call them Trump Republicans, they are digging a hole for themselves in terms of fear and anger. And fear and anger will take you some way. But as long as Kamala Harris and whoever she picks for vice president are on the side of hope and joy and it's morning in America and, we can do it and we're going to look for the future, that's a winning formula.
But it's so disparaging and it's so misogynistic. It's hard
Trump-Vance is... Yes, it's misogynistic, and it is also part of it is also isolationist in terms of foreign policy. It's a kind of xenophobic, anti-foreign. I don't think it's certainly not the future of America, and it's certainly not uplifting.
And this anti-people without children who haven't given birth to children. This is echoed in Project 2025, by the way, which talks about men and women who have families as being...
Well, Vance has not given birth, I don't think.
No.
And Trump has not given birth.
No, I think
as
a
far
lot
as I
of
know,
the presidents that we've had, turns out, have not given birth.
I don't think a single president we've had has given birth.
I don't think.
Well, let me think. Washington, Madison, Monroe. Monroe may have... No.
No. Keep going.
Dolly Madison? No.
No. She's a stepmother. But, I mean, it is just so disparaging, and they are leaning into this, and it's disgusting to watch.
This is the family. This is the evangelical right. This is the whole notion that there is a right way to have a family.
Yep.
And if you don't do it the right way, then you are somehow sinning.
Yep.
Well, here again.
Aberrant.
Well, this looks back. This is America in the 1920s, 1930s. This is not modern America. It's certainly not the future of America.
No.
And I don't think a lot of Americans want this.
I don't think so either, but let's hope they see it for what it is, and show up and vote accordingly.
I think they will. Now, again, let's go back to the notion. This is 100 days starting tomorrow until the election.
Yeah.
These days, these weeks that we are in now are critical in terms of Kamala Harris and her vice president defining themselves, defining the Democratic Party, defining the future for America, inviting people to join them, even if they are independents. And as we know, there are more independents than there are Republicans or Democrats. And so what they've got to do, and I think they are off to a wonderful start doing it, is painting the future of America in a way that people say, yes, I want that. That's partly what I want.
Bob, your energy is great today.
Well,
I'm so excited. I was excited anyway, but this is a fun coffee klatch.
I'm pumped up. I mean,
Clearly, it's great.
I was trying to restrain my gloom about Biden for weeks and months.
I know.
And I felt sorry for him, but I was getting more and more worried.
Yeah, and now I think this will be a long goodbye, right? And we will see. He will really, I hope, be honored for all that he has accomplished, which is remarkable.
Yes, and that started off immediately when he passed the torch last Sunday. People gave him so much credit.
Yeah.
I've been around presidents before, and I also am getting up in age. Mm-hmm. So I know how hard it is for presidents to give up that office. I mean, to even run for president, you've got to have, a huge ego, huge degree, a degree of narcissism to begin with. And also, once you get up to your late 70s, and certainly in your 80s, there is a resistance to knowing the truth, to accepting your limits. There's a great deal of denial that sets in.
And cognitive dissonance, I'm sure.
And on both those grounds, and cognitive dissonance, I think it was very hard for Joe Biden to accept this. And so what you see and heard is this outpouring of thanks, gratitude. Mm-hmm. He finally saw it. And Donald Trump, just the reverse. Yeah. Donald Trump would not put the country before his own ego.
Oh, please.
As Biden did. Donald Trump just, puts his ego, his ambition, his narcissistic needs.
Lights, in front of everything.
In front of absolutely everything.
Yep. So let's talk about Reid Hoffman. So the billionaire behind LinkedIn and other things, other investments, I'm sure, has come out and said, I am giving $7 million to the Kamala campaign. And also what would be really great is if you could get rid of Lina Khan because she is the chair of the Federal Trade Commission and I'd like her out. Thank you so much. Can you believe it?
It sounds like a quid pro quo that is, at least he's putting out the quid.
I think it's in the dictionary as quid pro quo, but also get rid of the people doing the regulation.
Well, I think one of the most important things that could be done right now and that Kamala Harris could do is to say to the billionaires, if you want to support me, that's fine. But I am not going to take away, I'm not going to do your bidding. As Donald Trump and J.D. Vance would do. I am going to keep Lina Khan exactly where she is. I want a strong antitrust, anti-monopoly fighter. And at the National Labor Relations Board, I want Jennifer Abruzzo, who is a very strong union person. And at the Antitrust Division of the Justice Department, I want Jonathan Kenner, who is also a strong antitrust fighter. Yeah. I mean, I want people who are going to fight for average working people and against monopolistic corporations, billionaires.
Take that, billionaires.
Take that.
And then on the other side, we have J.D. Vance and Trump pretending to be these economic populists, right? Oh, we love workers. They love us.
Well, it's all a pretense. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people believe it. They suffer from a kind of collective amnesia about what Trump actually did. Trump's one major legislative achievement was the big tax cut for the wealthy and for big corporations. And he, at the regulatory level, was making it almost impossible, harder to get time and a half overtime,
Oh,
harder
yeah.
for workers to form unions. I mean, he and his administration were the most anti-worker administration and anti-union administration we've had in this country for years.
And Project 2025 has more of the same in it, by the way.
I hope that, not right this minute, but I hope soon the Democrats and Kamala Harris begin to talk about Project 2025 and link Trump to it. He's trying to distance himself, but it's a document that lays out the plan for Trump's takeover of the United States government.
Yeah.
With everything we've talked about, you know, the kind of negative, take away women's rights to their own body, of anything, substitute the entire civil service, get rid of it and have loyalists in there.
Department of Education.
And get rid of the Department of Education, get rid of the, put the Federal Reserve Board under the White House.
There's not enough time in this Coffee Klatch to go through what Project 2025 is doing.
But it is a very frightening document. And we, Inequality Media, Civic Action, we have videos ready to go explaining in detail what that is.
Yep. Did you see that J.D. Vance did the foreword for a book for one of the key writers of it, too? And everyone keeps trying to distance themselves.
Well, they're not going to be able to distance themselves from it.
They're the nodes, the connections, they're never ending.
Well, there were 4 cabinet members from the Trump administration that were there writing it, and 115 Trump employees and White House people who have been writing it. You can't get away from it.
No.
And this is a blueprint for tyranny. It's a blueprint for fascism.
Yeah. I was thinking it might be fun for us to look at one of the viral videos going around about Kamala Harris that have been erupting online in the past week. What do you think?
Absolutely. And the thing about these videos, these viral videos, is that this is not paid advertising. This is people. This is the side of social media that is small d democracy. This is people, young people particularly, rising up and doing this stuff and posting it.
Right, and picking the trends that are making them happy and then combining Kamala Harris with these songs by people like Charlie XCX.
Charlie XCX?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ooh, you said it fast and quick. Well played.
And the Brat. What is Brat?
So that's her album and everyone. And now it's become an adjective.
Charlie XCX?
Yes, and now it's become an
Charlie
adjective.
XCX is a woman or a man or?
Is a woman who's a pop singer who has an album called Brat, and there's a chartreusey green color that's behind it, and now that's become.
And there's a dance.
There's a dance. There's a lot of there's a dance.
I mean, see, you can't pay for this.
You know
stuff.
what you're talking about.
I know. You can't pay for this kind of advertising.
Well, that is it.
This is coming up. This is kind of
okay. So
bubbling up.
Let's take a look. Ready?
Okay.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Big Sister General. You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you. I don't know what's wrong with you young people.
I love it.
2.8 million likes on that one, and it just
now
blew
I
up.
want you to do a mental exercise with me.
I'm here.
Try to look at that, feel that energy, and then superimpose or put it next to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and that negative.
I know.
That kind of viciousness.
Yep.
Well, it's a pretty clear choice.
It's a clear choice. Also, what I love about this is they trash her for her laugh, and they turn all these things negative.
You mean Trump and
yes,
J.D. Vance.
Trump and Vance and the other MAGA
They trash
files.
her for her laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen Donald Trump laugh? Have you ever heard him laugh?
No, I can't even picture it, actually.
I can't. I mean, it's disgusting, but there's no laughter. There has never been any laughter. He does not laugh.
You're right. I didn't even think about that.
J.D. Vance doesn't laugh.
No, but they do these terrible jokes, and then people kind of in the crowd at them.
Well, there's
an
another
attempt
contrast.
at comedy.
Laughter or snide.
Ness. Yeah. Good. On that note.
Anyway, on that note, listen, I want you all to celebrate with us that we finally have some, not only just positive news, but we've got a wave. And we've got to ride this wave. And please join Kamala Harris and join Heather and join me and join everybody here at Inequality Media.
Civic action.
Civic action in terms of just being joyful, laughing, and getting involved, because we need you. The country needs you. The country needs your involvement. A week can make a huge amount of difference. It's extraordinary how much difference it can make. When we were last together last Saturday, it was sort of grim.
Bleak, yeah.
But have a wonderful week. We'll see you next Saturday.